Why teach about natural resources? Why teach about natural resources? Everything we depend on comes from the earth. Our air, food, water, clothing, housing, energy, and the systems we have constructed on the land. Transportation networks, educational institutions, even businesses. Natural resources are materials or substances that occur in nature considered usable by humans, such as aggregate, rocks for construction, air, animals, fossil fuels, water, trees and plants, and minerals. Natural resources are essential for human life. They provide immense economic value and enabled all modern economies. Natural resources also provide ecosystem services through their form, interaction, chemistry, and distribution. They provide for the renewing of clean air, clean water, allow for pollination, habitat, and provide carbon sequestration. UN SDG, or Sustainable Development Goal number 6, focuses on ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water for all by 2030, and many other UN SDGs are dependent upon natural resources, including affordable and clean energy and human health. Moreover, natural resources provide what makes planet Earth our treasured home. Quiet walks we take on the prairie, birds we hear singing in the forest, sighting deer in a meadow, sounds of a river as it cascades over boulders, etc. Consider one natural resource, forests. Forests provide a source for people's homes, heat, products from paper to musical instruments, and much more. They prevent erosion, enrich and conserve soil, filter chemicals and pollution, are homes for 80% of terrestrial biodiversity, according to the WWF, and are a critical part of hydrologic and carbon cycles. From the dawn of human civilization, humans have depended upon and extracted the Earth's natural resources. The availability, quality, and variety of natural resources, or the lack of them, greatly impacted where humans could hunt, settle, grow crops, and access water. In turn, human activity affected the natural environments in which they inhabited. With the rapid increase of human population since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and continuing into the Information Age, the scope of human impact on natural resources has widened and deepened. Though it took a while, the Industrial Age brought increasing attention to protecting those natural resources. Beginning in the late 1800s, governments began to formally set aside areas to protect, set limits on pollutants, and enact legislation with a forward view that to consume as we had been doing was, in our modern terminology, unsustainable. At the same time, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and individuals also took action, and progress began to be less measured by how much we could consume, but how forward-thinking our societies were. Humans began to realize that without animal and plant species, human life itself was at risk. Wetlands and other natural areas that were formerly routinely paved or filled in were recognized as critical to the planet's biodiversity on which everything depends. Teaching about natural resources has long been core to many disciplines. Back to ancient Greece, China, and Persia under natural history and cosmography. For centuries, natural resource research and teaching focused on documenting and describing species. While this remains important, the field has widened to systems and instruments to measure water quality, connections among species, and interactions between humans and resources. Natural resource education has a deep tradition in geography, earth science, and environmental science, but is increasingly taught in business, economics, and engineering and other fields. Many argue that increasing natural resource instruction is long overdue, since all businesses and engineering decisions ultimately use natural resources. As businesses seek sustainable solutions, natural resources can and should be taught in business courses including risk management, asset management, and supply chain management, among many others. Teaching about natural resources permits human-environment interaction to be deeply explored. It also adheres to the action component in this book. It is insufficient to just gain head knowledge about a topic. Given what we have learned about natural resources, okay, what steps can we take to make things better? Can we live more harmoniously with the natural resources we have been given and ensure that they and us have a future? What sort of action can we take? Given time constraints, instructors must carefully choose which natural resources they should teach about. Because of their importance to multiple disciplines and to everyday life, water, energy, plants, soil, agriculture are often deemed most important. Natural resources are influenced by factors and forces core to physical geography, environmental and earth systems science instruction, including Earth's rotation around its axis, revolution around the sun, differential heating and cooling, wind and ocean currents, location of land masses and oceans, and other factors and forces. Natural resources are impacted by human land use and changes humans have made on land cover nearly everywhere on the earth. These changes include agriculture, deforestation, urbanization, extractive industries for mining and energy, and modification of rivers through the construction of reservoirs, canals, irrigation systems, and drainage systems. Abundant natural resources enabled humans to flourish, enabling the manufacture of everything from paper to synthetic rubber to cement. Natural resources influence economies and thus influence where people want to live and work. Natural resources and their perception influence where people want to go on vacation, to their favorite beach, mountain, or river. On a more serious theme, natural resources increasingly influence human migration as certain regions face resource deprivation, soil erosion, lack of water, or something else. Natural resources are increasingly taught across social and physical sciences and should be taught in these areas given the importance and the finite nature of them. Business decisions are wiser and more sustainable with a firm understanding of natural resources that are at the heart of every product that is grown, extracted, or manufactured. Regional and international trade agreements and political geography are deeply impacted by the presence of natural resources. Cultural regions and land use patterns have evolved over the centuries around natural resources. Water for crops, soil for growing those crops, rivers for trade, energy that could be generated to turn wheels and electrical turbines. Access to and extraction of natural resources plays a key role in equity and environmental justice. Physical regions influence types and varieties of natural resources. For example, mountainous areas that produce snowpack that replenishes the aquifer that people have been attracted to for growing crops past and present. All these topics are better understood with a knowledge of natural resources. Students are well served to attend to these linkages through tools and data sets presented in this and other chapters. Natural resource education connects to cultural geography, physical geography, life sciences, social sciences, and physical sciences. Natural resources could also be taught in any course focused on sustainability and resiliency, which are becoming more commonplace in higher education and even in some secondary schools. Now, let's talk about using GIS to enhance instruction about natural resources for a moment, shall we? Natural resources such as water, soils, energy, minerals, and all life forms, plants, animals, insects, macroinvertebrates, are spatial. They occur in specific places and patterns around the planet. Some resources exhibit seasonal patterns, sea surface temperatures, or the onset of spring plant blooms. Some resources, such as soils and trees, can be successfully managed in a sustainable way. Others, such as aluminum and natural gas, cannot be renewed but at present are needed by humans, thus are extracted, transported, and used. Each natural resource has unique characteristics, their depth, extent, or seasonal or daily patterns, their relationship to other resources, and their demand by humans. Their spatial nature means that they can be better understood through GIS tools. GIS is used on a daily basis in the government, nonprofit, and business workplace to plan, manage, extract, and renew these resources. Quantitative spatial analysis tools are used in a GIS to determine, for example, the amount of wetland that would be inundated by a proposed dam, or the amount of wetland freed by the proposed removal of a dam. The tools are used to determine a study site for invasive species, considering soil type, slope, aspect, and land ownership. Qualitative tools can also be used in a GIS to model perception, behavior, attitudes, or obtain people's reaction to a proposed urban greenway project. Instructors have a wealth of GIS tools, interactive maps, and data with which to teach about natural resources in dynamic and interesting ways. These include ecological sensors, crowdsourced observations about birds, seasonal onset of flowers and tree buds, invasive plant and animal species, and others which are important data sources for GIS and scientific analysis. Tools, maps, and data sources include comparing change across space and time using maps and imagery, species richness, water quality and availability, levels of superficial water and aquifers, energy generating stations, land cover, migration of birds and animals, soil and water chemistry, and much more is gathered on a continuous basis and sometimes published in real time, which can be mapped in a GIS. Spatial analysis tools allow for natural resource use to be modeled and projected into the future. Web mapping applications such as swipe tools, animations, infographics, story maps, and other visualizations can be powerfully used to communicate the results of investigations and inspire people to take action. This chapter features fascinating tools and data sources, modeling ways instructors can teach with them in a GIS environment. These include ESA's satellite imagery, the ArcGIS online map viewer, NASA's Earth Observatory, cartogram tools, and more. These represent a subset of tools and data sets available, all of which continue to evolve. Instructors and students are encouraged to explore each tool, data, and method in deeper ways, and connect these natural resource topics to topics in other social, natural, and physical disciplines. For example, business decisions, equity, human health, and other issues are based on access to, extraction of, and sustainability of these natural resources. Thus, GIS can be used to teach content about these critical natural resources, how they impact humans, and how humans impact them. Students will gain skills in data literacy through examining a variety and volume of data, including maps, imagery, and graphs, as they grapple with, these are sticky, difficult topics, with topics of water gaps, shrinking lakes, species richness, and others. Studying natural resources with GIS empowers students because they use the same tools that planners, hydrologists, soil scientists, biologists, ecologists, and others in the workplace use every day on the job. The chapter begins by examining a natural resource that is necessary for human survival and also represents the single largest change that humans have had on land use and land cover of the planet, even above urbanization, and that is agriculture, crops, and livestock. Thanks.